If you want to protect yourself, get a double-barrel shotgun, have the shells, a 12-gauge shotgun, and I promise you, as I told my wife, we live in an area that's wooded and somewhat secluded. I said, Jill, if there's ever a problem, just walk out on the balcony here or walk out, put that double-barrel shotgun and fire 2 blasts outside the house. I promise you, who's ever coming in is not going to, you don't need an AR-15. It's harder to aim, it's harder to use, and in fact, you don't need 30 rounds to protect yourself. Buy a shotgun. Buy a shotgun.
Could you imagine the level of frustration and disbelief of a doctor who walks into the OR only to find Pierce Morgan with that geriatric denture smile sitting there telling him which tools he needs or doesn't need in order to use in the operation to save a person's life? That's how I feel about senile Joe Biden telling me or anyone else what we need or don't need in order to protect our lives. Joe Biden's understanding of firearms is so outdated and antiquated, he believes the supreme weapon of choice is a double-barreled shotgun. Do they still make those? Joe Biden is what you get when you mix arrogance and senility. You end up with a series of unintelligible, uninformed ramblings, stated as a matter of fact, even though his knowledge on the subject is about 50 years behind the times. And this is the person Obama has leading the whole gun control debate. Elmer Fudd incarnate. Here's the irony. He said he told his wife to put the shotgun outside the door and fire off 2 shots, and anybody who's around that heard it will leave if she's ever attacked. Now, I can say without a doubt that no one in the gun community would ever advocate shooting indiscriminately without knowing who and what they're shooting at. Because it's dangerous and, quite frankly, it's tactically moronic. You have a double-barrel shotgun. That means you have to reload after every 2 rounds. And now your wife is sitting there with an empty gun, and I'd love to see how well she can reload a double-barrel shotgun when the bad guys who weren't deterred by her rattling sabers are now shooting back at her. It's clear you don't know what you're talking about, and clearly your knowledge is limited to the old westerns you used to watch when you were growing up as a child, where Sally Mae steps out onto her back porch with her blunderbuss and shoots in the air to intimidate the vagrants from coming onto her land. In this century, the vagrants use semi-auto handguns, rifles, and shotguns, which carry substantially more rounds. These vagrants are now hopped up on synthetic drugs, which eliminate the whole fear factor. So they'll keep coming even after being shot. So trying to scare them and hoping they run away is no longer an option. Mr. Biden, I think you'd be hard-pressed to use a shotgun in a high-stress situation and manage its recoil effectively, much less your substantially smaller wife who's likely more recoil-sensitive than you are. So yes, an AR-15 is easier to shoot, it's easier to manage, and holds substantially more rounds, just in case your operator high-speed low-drag wife misses and needs to follow up with more than 2 shots to protect herself. So let's just be honest here. Joe Biden is a musket in the age of AR-15s.